Hello everybody. So, if you stick around my channel a lot, you obviously know that I don't do reviews that often, but this is just one of those figures I can't skip a review on. He needs a definite review, which, if most of you know, this is the Beast Deities Broly. I never thought I'd get my hands on this because when he came out, bro was mad expensive. But I got him for a decent price. But we're not here to discuss prices. We're here to discuss action figures. Let me go ahead and move him out of the way, though. And then go over the boxes. So, when you get him... Ooh, come on, camera. But when you get him, you'll get him... Well, I shouldn't say when. I should say, if you ever get him, you'll get him in a box that is literally massive. I mean, this video doesn't do any justice to how big the box is. Like, it really doesn't. It is bigger than my setup. Same with the figure. The figure is bigger than my setup. Like, I'll go over, the box here in a minute. Box isn't really anything special. At least in my opinion, and I think there's a couple other people out there that have the same thing, but, Beast Deities boxes are never anything special, so to say. They're very just there, shall we put it. But, here's the back of it. That, I believe, says Fenrir, which is some mythic wolf thing. I don't even know. I'm not into all that mythic stuff. But, box ain't really much to, lose your mind over. I mean, it is massive, so that is kind of interesting. And I mean, front illustration, the bottom right corner here, it says concept design, not final product, which makes sense. So, I keep most of his, the key orbs, hands, and whatnot all in here. Pulling that aside, the box, this is everything in the accessory department. Now, I will mention, I didn't get the beast head with it, which, y'all, they can keep that. I don't want that. But, on to what's actually inside here. Move the plastic tray apart, or away from it. So you kind of get his hands are kind of set on like a model kit clear rise, kind of, not even a clear rise, but more or less like what you'd see model kits putting their parts on. However, they are on ball joints. So, and for those of you that are wondering, this piece is specifically set for the Kong Studios. I want to say this is the Super Saiyan Goku, or the Super Saiyan Goku, or the Super Saiyan, or like the Super Saiyan 2. It's something like that. But I think one thing that's nice is I don't have to lay it on my table to show you all the accessories. I can literally just go, and probably some of you are probably wondering, well, why do you have the beast hands? Those were included in here. And yes, I like to think that you can still use these. Just if you shave the nail off or just take the paint off, you can still use them. But for the most part, I think you get a pretty decent amount of spread for hands, honestly. And one thing that's nice too is, unlike the Demonical Fit one, or SHF style, they give you hands that actually have pegs in the hands, so that you can, take the... Let's just go ahead and dump everything out here. So, I'll go over what's in these bags here in a moment, but, you then get these, which, just sitting on the table, they look great because they have that like nice little green radiance that just peers off of them because of how clear plastic they are. Let me just go ahead and lower my camera. But these are honestly really nice. I love how big they are, and honestly, the detail on them are pretty nice. The mold for them, and then the hole is like right there. Like, it's a pretty simplistic design to use, and then you get the smaller neck peg, which I've heard countless stories about how the neck peg itself and the head was a nightmare in putting on, which I'm glad already had the longer neck peg pre-installed, so I didn't have to mess with that. Then you get the arms, which pop open like that if you want to use them. And again, this is another thing of, if you've been around my channel long enough, you know I don't really like using these all that much. There has been a few instances where I do use them, but, you know, nothing too crazy. And then, the way that they market the hair, this is your, like the stock beast deities. I'm gonna call it stock, like I'm talking about cars. But, this is what would be your, like, bone stock beast deities style, hair. Which is, quite honestly, pretty freaking sharp. I did not think that was, oh damn, that is sharp. Like, when people say this is sharp. Like, I was full on not expecting this to be that sharp. Which, I have not messed with this yet. It's been stuck in the box ever since I've gotten Mr. Broly here. Which, one thing I will say about this head sculpt is, I know they used a certain reference photo, but I've just never really liked the whole super long front bang like that. Because, to me, I've always never seen Broly's, like, front bangs like this just straight up shoot down his face like that. I just never have. That's the head sculpt. Then the faces. The faces are sold as bookmarks. But, with these, you get about 4 of them. So let me go ahead and pop this open. And again, these are your stock. Like, whenever I say stock, these are like what you would get with the figure. The head sculpt I have on him right now is a third party, because the listing I got, or that I found for him, came with the third party head. So you've got the screaming face. Let me try to focus it some more. Then you've got a evil teeth gritting face. And then you've got his stern face, because Broly is a very serious person. And then you've got the evil smirking face, which I had just realized does not have the earrings in it yet, which I'm not too particularly worried about, because I don't plan on using the bone stock, like, head sculpt. And for those of you that are wondering what it looks like, what some of the faces look like on the head here, let me go ahead and just, okay, that's how that works. That's how it looks. It's not a bad Broly head sculpt, but it's not one that I'm particularly like, oh my god, it's superior to any of the other ones. Like, I personally like the TKO one, DKO one, and the MP Model A one, which I'm going to go over here shortly. But for the most part, I think this is a pretty decent head sculpt. Which I will say, like I said, and like everybody else said, this thing is sharp. Like, I mean, curiosity. No, so I thought it was super sharp enough to where it would poke the actual table here. But let me go ahead and pause and get the figure over here. Alright, so I did forget one last thing too, which was the things bagged. So when you got the figure, you ended up getting it. This was on top of the figure, like it's some little plat or like little cape thing. It does have bendy wire in it, which I don't know why they did that, because I mean, I guess it's part of the Trojan horse, I guess, because they market it as a different thing, but we all know what it is. It's Broly. But you get a little cape with it. So I mean, I guess if you want to use it for a custom, go right ahead. But I don't know who has a big enough figure for that. But on to the next bag. So most of you probably seen this when I opened it. These are extra earrings. So these would go for the, the stock faces that I showed you. Or I argue you could even use them just as spare earrings, because most of the head sculpts this size are loose style earrings as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over this first before we go over the figure. Get all the accessories out the way. So this is the MP Modela, or Modele, however you want to say it, head sculpt, or kit, I should say, because it does come with more than just the head sculpt and faceplates. So, first off, for starters, you've got this right here. So, for those of you that are wondering, well, where's the other head sculpt? I see there's another spot for a head sculpt. That one is currently on my Broly. So, taking this one out, you get the, like, really super duper clear, almost looking like it's been made out of glass, in a sense. Which, here's one of the face plates. You get, like, a smirking face, which, very Broly-esque. And then for both of the head sculpts, you get a windswept hair, which this one is the more matte finished hair. And then faces wise, you get a, like, being punched or kicked into the face. An angry teeth gritting expression, which is so well done. Then you got the, well, let me move my finger there. But you've got the screaming face, which I think is very essential to any Dragon Ball character. I mean, I think if you're doing a head sculpt for a Dragon Ball character, or just a figure in general, you almost certainly have to always include a yelling face. Then here is the teeth gritting face, but kind of smirking. So it's a smirk, but showing teeth. So, moving that aside, you also get in the box, for the MP Model A version, you've got all of this. So you've got some wide open palmed hands for, if he's like throwing off a ki blast or something in a very hurry. Then you've got what I arguably think most Broly should come with. You've got his pointer fingers. However, he comes with two, and they come on the other sides. So you've got a left and a right, if my hands would stop dropping stuff. But these are sculpted really nicely, which I think they match pretty well with the actual skin tone of the figure. Because, like, looking at the hand here, yeah, they match pretty well. But moving Broly out of the way, and on to this, what we have left here, the little ki blast piece. Now, I've got a little bit of a story on this one. I don't mind using the ki blast that they give you, almost like this. I will say it is a different way to plug in a ki blast, but it's a nice looking ki blast, and I really like that they kept the Beast deity style with the orb here, where it's kind of showing off the green on his hand in a little bit. But really nice effect outside of the fact of when I go to put these things in. These things are a pain in my rear because you have to look for the smallest little slit here, and these don't always stay in. You can get it in like that, but sometimes when you're posing it, it'll pop out like that. So I suggest if you do want to just use the key ball like this, I would suggest just using the key ball. Because I'm going to be completely honest with you. These like little charge shards are kind of ass. Which I know I don't usually say a lot about certain, third-party figs or whatnot, but I'm gonna be completely clear with that one. Let me be clear that those are the most atrocious way of putting something in. But you get mostly all of you don't get mostly, you get all of that with that kit with the Modelia, and they don't just have a green version, they have a yellow-haired version too. So if you want to make like the second coming Broly instead of just the first movie Broly, you can potentially make a second coming Broly, which I don't know why you'd want to do that unless you have the second coming, because Deities did release 3 different Brolys, which that's a lot. But now, on to the actual big dude himself, Broly. This dude is so big that I have to push him all the way to my wall. Like, it doesn't do justice to how big he is, like, off cam. It literally doesn't. Like, here's my hand. Average human hand. He is about an average, almost a little bit taller than an average human hand, which is crazy works. And from what I've seen, I think he's about 10 inches tall. I almost said 10 feet. That would be a really big figure. But I believe he is 10 inches tall, which dwarfs about any figure you would have in your collection. Any. And we're going to go ahead and jump straight into the detailing on this man, because, oh boy, this man is detailed perfectly. But, like, I'll go ahead and give you a closer look. That's the other face you get, is the stern face, and this is the other hair you get. It's a nice, like, bright lime green, but it's also got a really nice matte finish. It's honestly what I think Broly's hair actually realistically would look like. It's like a really super realistic look. Then, freaking just, I love the more realistic portions for his torso. Like, don't get me wrong, again, I really do love I almost called it the Beast Deities, but the dragons. I almost called it Dragon Stars. The demonical fit / SH Figure Arts one, I still do really like that one, but something about the realistic look for the torso is so much more better. That, and then the legs just look so much better. And especially when talking about the feet. Like, the feet, you get this like little flap piece here, so it kind of covers the joint. And it kind of relays it being more baggy down here by his shoes, like what it's supposed to be. But I will say, at least with mine, the feet, when moving them, are mad tight. And it's not just that side, it's also this side. And probably some of you have noticed this by now, when I'm, moving the feet around. Yes, he does have a little, paint scratch, but, not a big deal to me. So now, going over Big Broly Doly's freaking articulation. So, he is on a 3.0 body style for the legs, so that means you can kick him up, or kick his leg out pretty decently, and this is made of like a soft rubbery plastic, so that's definitely not hindering anything. And I will say that is one thing that hinders the demonical fit one, is that booty hard plastic like 3-piece freaking skirt piece is so bad. But then you get about that much in the knee bend there. And then you get his foot can kick out about that much. He's almost off my camera. Toe bend is excellent. I don't really see why you would care, a whole lot in toe bend unless you're putting him in some like really excellent freaking crouch positions. But onto his upper body, because that's pretty much all of his lower bodies. It's basically a 3.0. Think of what do you call it? Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Think of that. Like, it's just that like leg style. So I don't really want to spend too much time on his legs because they're literally just a 3.0 body style. And I mean, I kind of showed you already in one leg, but I don't know how the hell I don't know how the hell am I gonna do the upper body, because usually I can just pull the figure up close to the camera. So I guess we're gonna have to do it from there. So with the arms, you get about, I don't want to be too rough on the arms here because I'll show you why in a minute. But you can get about this much in the arm bend there. He does have butterfly joints. Like, he can move his arm back for a pretty good wide throwback. And then he does bend his arm. God, this is so hard to do because he's so big. We go ahead and just hold the camera. So you do get it's like a single jointed elbow, which makes sense because how thick his arm is. You do get a nice bicep swivel, and you do get like a ball joint for the hand. But this is so hard to do. Bro is too big. Now, you do start, or like, when the figure comes out of the box, like when you get it from, like, I believe it was 5K Toys that, distributed this. But I think you get a pretty decent ab crunch. However, a lot of people seen a ab crunch mod and, went to go and do an ab crunch mod. However, and this is not to blow smoke at anyone, but seeing this piece right here, they cut this piece out so that it would, quote unquote, give them better bend. And I thought this might do the trick, but it's looking like I might have to try something else. But I don't know if my camera will pick that up in there, but he is having slight little cracks on each socket here. Like right there, you see that little crack right there if my finger would move. But that slight little crack right there next to the clay here. So I am going to probably have to do something with this little crack here. It's the same with over here. It's worse on this side than it is over here. But he does have cracks in I call them sockets, but he does have cracks in the sockets. So I would suggest, if you have this figure, to go ahead and take a look at those if you haven't looked at those for a while. God, the clay is just like falling off of him every time I move this. But I mean, for now, his arms do move still. They don't feel like they're gonna break, but I do have a plan if they do break, which I'm hoping that they last for a very, very long time. But he's not that hard to put back together via the torso, but for the most part, he gets pretty good articulation for the size that he is. Like, to be honest, there's not much to to expect. Like, you're not gonna get super duper duper freaking articulation posing. Like, you're not gonna get a deep ab crunch, which I know a lot of people thought they would get a deep ab crunch by doing this, but I mean, be honest with you, Broly, I need you to stand up. This is a decent amount of ab crunch, which is it's heavily using the waist, which that's another thing to touch bases on this figure as well. He has immaculate waist spin, or waist turn. Like, I can literally turn him like this. And literally, that is like super unrealistic, but nonetheless, it's better than the pneumatical fit one. But head wise, you can get him to look like literally straight at his pecs, literally straight down, like straight down. But like that, oh man, that looks pretty intimidating. Looking straight up, he looks up about that much. Let me angle the camera straight. He looks up about that much, so not too much, but I mean, who is Broly? Broly, canonically supposed to be 10 feet tall, looking at. But I mean, if you can find him for a good price and whatnot, I'd say go for it. But I would not pay a lot of money, especially when he came out. I wouldn't have paid that much. Short end of the story, I think he's a good figure if you can find him for a good price, or if you can find him for something in your budget. But like I said, I don't think he is worth a lot of money, especially with the sockets cracking. I don't think he's worth, the ridiculous amounts that he went for when he first released. But if I did have to give him a review rating, I am definitely going to probably give him like a 9 or an 8. And it's only a 9 or an 8 because of the sockets cracking. If the sockets weren't cracking, he would definitely be a 10 out of 10 for me. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and see you in the next Master Gods production.